Hello everybody, welcome back to the garden. It is an absolutely beautiful day. I hope you guys are having great days out in your gardens as well. It's 65 degrees and sunny here in Wisconsin for the first time in a while. We've had nothing but rain for 3 days straight, so it is definitely good to get a little bit of a break from that. So I'm able to start up more of the garden projects that I've had planned. Although I am so tempted to get out my vegetable seedlings, I know now is not the time because you want to wait for some overcast days with moderate temperatures around 45 to 55 degrees. So I'm tempted to, but I know I can't quite do that yet. I'll cover transplanting seedlings in a future video, probably this next week. But in today's video, I've got a real cool surprise. It's the first time I've ever grown them, and this is a Chicago hardy fig. We are, if you guys know, some of you might know, some of you might not know, we are in the process of moving. We've got a property, and I've decided that some of the first things that we want to start growing on this new house is going to be our perennial vegetables, like stuff that's going to produce for us every single year, perennial fruits like strawberries, rhubarb, stuff like that, things like apple trees, fig trees, pear trees, everything that's going to maybe not always produce the first year that we plant it. That way we can get a head start on those sort of crops. And things that are going to be producing for us year after year, I want to get all those growing in the ground before we do anything else over on that property. Wow, it is hot in this greenhouse. It's like 85 degrees. So I was at the store the other day looking at some flooring, and we stumbled upon this Chicago hardy fig. I think it's the only fig that's actually going to grow in my area. We're zone 5B. So not a lot of figs can take that temperature, but the Chicago hardy fig can. And in today's video, I'm just going to be opening this up because I'm kind of curious to see if it was a cutting or how they rooted this thing. I would assume that they did it by cutting, so we'll take it and inspect it, see what the root system looks like, and then I'll talk to you guys a little bit about the soil type that Chicago hardy figs and figs of all sorts like. We'll be transplanting it into this easy swap pot. That way, when it comes time to transplant into the ground, I'll easily be able to just pop this thing right open with these buttons here, and I won't have any damage to the root system. And it just makes the whole process so easy. That's an easy swap pot. I'll probably just drop the link down below because they're great, so handy to have. And air pruning pots like this also grow some great plants because of that air pruning aspect. If you haven't looked up air pruning at all, I definitely recommend doing that. So let's get to opening this up and seeing what it looks like inside. So they have this wrapped in plastic, and I don't know what type of medium or anything they've got it in. Let's pop it out of here. Ooh. Well, for how small it was, it's a tiny little bit root bound. Up at the top here specifically, it looks like this was grown in a container of this size. And then after, when they got ready for the final packaging, they added another 2 or 3, like 2 inches of soil beneath that. Since there's so many roots on this thing, if you can see, since there's so many roots all around this, I'm not going to tear this apart and see if it was a cutting or not. I'd assume that it probably was just a cutting. If you don't know, figs can be propagated. That's going to be another future video here on the channel. We'll be propagating these figs out. But I'm just going to kind of tear off the bottom bit of soil here so those roots are not spiraling around at all. I won't have an issue with it growing in here, but just so it doesn't keep that shape. What happens is when those roots start growing in a circle, they kind of grab onto each other, and then they're going to continuously grow in that circle because they're growing around each other. They're kind of trapping themselves in. So we really want to avoid that if at all possible. I'll show you guys the soil type that we're going to be transplanting these in. This is a Kellogg's raised garden bed mix. This soil mix contains peat moss, a little bit of perlite, and then compost. Figs like a lot of organic matter in the soil. So if we were planting this into the ground, I would basically take a lot of fine chipped wood chips or mulch, like a real fine mulch, mix it into some soil. Or if you've got some peat moss, I would mix that into the soil at maybe a 1/3 to maybe a 50-50% mix of regular soil and then that peat moss or wood chips. And of course, like always, we want to add in some compost too. Otherwise, a pre-mix like this is exactly what we need. I cannot even express how excited I am to start growing all these different types of fruits and stuff, especially our fruit trees. I think are going to be really cool. I do plan on getting some like heirloom varieties or some different types of fruit trees that I haven't really grown before and a lot of other people haven't grown. I don't want to just go to the big box store and get what everybody else buys because that's just me. I have a buddy who kind of specializes in heirloom varieties and varieties that have been grown for a long, long time. And I think that I'll reach out to him to see what he recommends. Even things like gooseberries. As you guys know, we are also growing elderberries, so we'll have a bunch of those growing too. Overall, I'm just very excited to show you guys the amazing journey that we're about to have here with this new property. It's not a ton of land. It's only 0.3 acres. We didn't get the set acre plus property that we wanted to, but it was just way, way out of our price range for where we live. So we had to make do. Either way, I think it's going to be a great place to start growing more stuff. So I'll show you guys what this looks like for this transplant. We just got it popped right into there. Went at the same level as it was before, and then I'll probably throw in some mulch on top to help keep in a little bit of moisture. Since the water does evaporate from this airbag a little bit faster than if you had a plastic pot or something like that, so that mulch on top is really going to help keep that moisture in. I have yet to decide if I'm going to cut off this and just develop one main leader or not. I have to do some more research on the pros and cons of growing a more bushy plant versus a single stem for a few feet and then letting it branch out after that point. Give it a nice watering, just like we normally do whenever transplanting. And here to be growing along with our willow trees and elderberries for a while until we get this thing growing in the ground. And then I will have another video on how to do that and the different types of soil amendments for that process. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I've got a bunch of work out here to do. We're going to be putting in a bunch of different seeds of herbs, flowers, and some other plants that we're planning on growing this next season. So thank you guys all so much for watching. I hope you're excited to see this fig grow and flourish just as I am. I hope you found this video entertaining and possibly even learned a little bit. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell button, and we'll see you in the next episode.